Today, I have a huge encouragement for you, and I want to explore that simple question of why. Why are we so tired? And perhaps even more importantly, what can we do about it? Welcome back to the Sunshine Café, where we pour positive back into the world and elevate how you lead life with encouraging and faith-aligned conversations. Let's dive in. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sunshine Café. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and today I want to address a growing trend. Why is everybody so tired? Have you noticed it? Everywhere you turn, people are tired. They're not just physically tired, but they're also deeply tired. You ask someone how they're doing, and they often answer, "I'm so busy. I'm overwhelmed. Oh, I'm exhausted." And it rarely ever sounds like it's a good thing. Like, "Oh, I'm so busy, and I don't know what end is up, but I'm loving life." Yeah, we rarely hear that. Honestly, I've observed this myself recently, and I'm taking specific action to change my own life. I don't mind being tired. I don't mind being busy. But when the busy and the tired become kind of chronically present, then it's time to make a change. We just got back from a family vacation, which was wonderful. But as soon as we walked back through that door, the busy life was there, waiting. All the to-dos that were lined up in my inbox, the bills, the laundry, the softener needs salt, the plants need to be watered, emails need to be answered, a podcast needs to be recorded, PhD assignment needs to be finished, and about 20 other things that were tugging on my mental energy and competing for my attention. But what about the important things? Those things were not there in my inbox. My Bible doesn't send me an urgent email saying, "Hey, your appointment with God is overdue." My amazing teenager isn't going to bug me for time together with him. That's something I need to prioritize. I need to put it on the list, right? Well, maybe you've experienced something similar. You're totally finished with one thing only to realize that there are 5 more things waiting right behind it. And it seems like so many of us are running hard, trying to keep up and trying to do all the things, and yet feeling increasingly more and more worn out. So today, I have a huge encouragement for you, and I want to explore that simple question of why. Why are we so tired? And perhaps even more importantly, what can we do about it? As I've been thinking about this, I've come to believe that there are actually 3 different kinds of fatigue. There is physical fatigue, there's mental fatigue, and there's spiritual fatigue. Understanding the difference between these 3 really matters because the solution for how not to be so tired depends on the type of tired we're experiencing. So let's start with some of the symptoms of physical fatigue. And sometimes the answer to how to solve that one is pretty simple. Our bodies are tired because we've been asking too much of them. We're either staying up too late, waking up too early, or moving a lot and not giving our bodies time to rest. Over these past 10 days, assuming my pedometer was accurate, I've walked approximately 32 miles. 65,000 plus steps through lines and across those lovely rock-hard concrete pathways at the theme parks. I spent long days on my feet, slept in different beds next to some noisy sleepers, ate a lot of junk food, and was most definitely outside of my normal routine. And yes, we were having a blast, but the reality is my body was also expending a lot of energy. Mid-vacation, during one of those 90-minute waits for the ride, I decided that going to American theme parks is something maybe like a non-military boot camp. You push yourself to the limit, and when you think you can't go anymore, you somehow find the energy to run across the park to catch your fast pass for the one ride that everyone can't miss. The relief I felt when the fun was over was real. I mean, I loved the fun. We had a great time, and yet I was really glad also when the fun was done. Maybe you can relate. The reality is, God created our bodies with limits. We need sleep. We need proper nourishment. We need movement. And we need recovery. Yet, our culture often treats rest as something we have to earn only after we finish everything that's on the list, or even viewing rest sometimes as a sign of weakness, like I don't sleep or I'll sleep when I'm dead. But here's the encouraging part of today's message, and I hope you will come back to me and hear this really clearly, because the reality is that your list of things to do will never be finished. You and I will never do all the things that we could do. We'll never learn it all. We'll never do it all, see it all, travel to all the places, visit all the spaces. There will always be more to do in this life than we could ever possibly finish. And I hope that reality is somewhat of an encouragement for you today to just know that, own it, and accept it. Because when we know that, our job is to stop trying to get all of it done and really focus on choosing the things that really matter most. Because if I'm not going to finish all the things, then I might as well spend my time doing the things that really matter. There will always be one more email, always be one more task, one more project, one more responsibility. My friend, choose where you spend your time wisely. And remember that the most helpful thing that we can do for our physical exhaustion is to simply rest. Rest and then fuel your body with good, nourishing food, drink enough water, and allow our bodies regular times to rest. The second type of fatigue is mental fatigue. And I think this may be one of our biggest challenges of our time because our minds are constantly processing information. We have news alerts and alerts from social media and text messages and emails and schedules and decisions and responsibilities. And somewhere in the mix of all of that, we are bombarded with, I don't know, I think the data these days says somewhere like 4,000 to 10,000 marketing messages. Yikes, that's a lot to process. And even when we're sitting still, our minds might be racing. Have you ever noticed after you travel by plane that you mentally feel exhausted? I mean, you haven't really done much. You've been sitting the whole time physically, but meanwhile, your brain has been processing and planning and doing a lot to make your body feel tired. In fact, it's interesting to note that our brains use 20% of the fuel that we consume on a daily basis. They are definitely a power drain in the best of ways. Have you ever climbed into bed physically exhausted, ready to sleep, only to have your brain decide that that is the time to review every unfinished project and every awkward conversation you had during the day and every possible future scenario that you might need to do something about? I certainly have been there many times. In fact, as I have been finishing up my PhD coursework for the week, I have noticed just how easy it is to carry unfinished work around in my head. Even when I'm not actively studying, part of my brain is still thinking about what that next thing is that needs to be done. Mental fatigue happens when we carry too many decisions or too much information or too many to-dos and too many open loops. We were never designed to absorb everything that's happening in this world all at once. And there's something else interesting about our brains. They were designed to adapt. So we have actually trained our brains to never stop. When we are constantly working on things, our brains get used to that pattern. And so we actually literally need to train our brains also to rest. That regular weekly Sabbath that God instituted, that was not for his benefit. It was instituted for our benefit. We need to train our brains and our bodies to stop, to be comfortable in the silence, and to rest. Less thinking, less doing, less noise, less input, and just time to be, to breathe, and to practice clearing that whiteboard in our brain and just staring at nothing for just a few moments. And this brings me to what I believe is maybe the deepest type of fatigue, and that's spiritual fatigue. This is the kind of tiredness that sleep and rest cannot fix. Spiritual fatigue can happen when we've been so busy pouring into others for so long that we've forgotten how to fill ourselves back up. We serve, we help, we work, we care, we carry a lot of responsibilities, but we neglect our own and we forget to actually stop to connect with God. Somewhere in the midst of our busy lives, has your relationship with God become just one more item on that list of to-dos instead of the source of your strength? I know I've fallen into that pattern myself. But I love what Jesus says in Matthew 11:28. He says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He doesn't say, "Come on over and I'll help you work harder." He doesn't say, "Come to me and I'll make you more productive." He says, "I will give you rest." That is such a beautiful invitation because Jesus understands that we were never meant to carry all of life's burdens alone. The solution to spiritual fatigue is not trying harder. It's drawing closer. It's spending time in prayer. It's taking that time to open up God's word. It's choosing to worship even when life is hard and we don't feel like it. It's remembering that our value comes from who we are as one of God's children, not from the things that we accomplish. Given these different types of fatigue, spiritual, mental, and physical, I think it's easy sometimes to misdiagnose our tiredness. We think we're physically tired when we're actually spiritually tired. We might think we're mentally tired when our bodies just physically need rest. We keep searching for solutions without even pausing for a moment to identify the real source of the problem. And in reality, a lot of times these three kinds of fatigues are all woven together. So let me leave you with a question today. What kind of tired are you? Are you physically, mentally, or spiritually tired today? Maybe you're carrying a little bit of all three. The good news is that God cares about every part of us. He cares about our bodies, our minds, and our souls. And He invites us to bring our fatigue directly to Him. Not after we finish the project, not after life settles down, not after we get all caught up or the day offers us a break. Today, my friend, right now. If you have been feeling exhausted lately, please know that you are not alone. Many of us, if not all of us, are carrying a little more than we were ever meant to carry. But remember that rest is not a reward for finishing everything. Rest is part of God's design for living well, and it actually will fuel you to get more done. So as a quick recap, if you are physically tired, give yourself enough time to sleep and physically rest. If you're mentally tired, intentionally focus on training your brain to clear that whiteboard and sit in some non-thinking space. And if you're spiritually fatigued, give yourself a little time to sit at the feet of Jesus. You don't even need to say a word. Your presence with the Lord is your prayer. And if you allow yourself to focus on Him, He will give you rest. Now, before we wrap up, I want to just remind you to check out the show notes here for a free guide on who you are in Christ. This one-page PDF is going to give you over 100 verses that you can meditate on when you are in that space and just resting at the feet of Jesus. You're going to find it here in the description wherever you're watching or listening to me now. Okay, thanks for stopping by the Sunshine Café today. Until next time, I hope you will find a little intentional time to rest. Breathe deeply, pray, and, oh yeah, go get some sleep. And when you wake up, pour a little sunshine into the world around you, and I'll see you right back here next week at the Sunshine Café.